Hello there and welcome to Face Off. This is where we tend to look at the two sides of every coin, of every situation, where it hurts, where it bites, where it is exciting, where you get to hear every account as it is on the minds of those. I am Nel Tagbe, welcome. Now, there's a situation that has been bothering a certain group of people in a certain part of the country, as the southern western part of the country, in particular Ogun State. Now, it is believed that the elections in 2011 were lost by the ruling People's Democratic Party then because of the infighting. Now, democracy returned firmly into the shores of Nigeria in 1999, and since then, some have called it fledgling, some have said it is growing, and some have thought that it is dead before it even began. But many believe that it is growing and has found its roots and is going to stay in Nigeria. But how can democracy truly grow in the shores of Nigeria, on the shores of Nigeria, when the political parties are fighting amongst themselves? Is it possible that these men and these women can sheath their swords and begin to look towards the future, towards the greatness of the country? The ruling party then in 2010 into 2011 lost their bid to continue to rule in that state when they began to fight. That's what many people believe, that when they began to fight, they lost the power to rule, and that began in 2000 and way before 2011. What is the way forward? This battle has seen the different factions move up to the highest court in the land, the Supreme Court, seeking for a resolution. First, it began with 4 factions, then it began with 2 factions, then moved up to 4, then it came down back again to 2. What is the way forward in Ogun State? Should we continue the bickering back and forth? The next elections are almost here. Where do we go from here? What about those that are being led? Is it a question of the leaders not being satisfied or seeking to serve the people? That is the question. Democracy in Nigeria, would it work with all the parties fighting amongst themselves? This is where we'll begin, and I have 2 gentlemen in the house who would help us to see how best we can understand the situation in Ogun State and possibly find a way forward. 2 gentlemen, Honorable Dakpo Adeyemi, a former member of the State House of Assembly. Welcome, sir.
Welcome. Good evening, viewers.
And on this other side is Ajibola Oluyede, a legal practitioner. Welcome.
Good evening.
Gentlemen, you're welcome to Face Off. You already know the rules of the game, but before we move ahead, we'll just look at this report that tells us the situation. First, we begin with a track from the 2 camps.
We will come together, but we will come together under the rule of law. What is happening now, that your Shoremi-led executive handed over to us after the congresses were done, and if there is going to be another Congress, we are not afraid of having another Congress, but we do not want people to be picked in the living room. We want people, politics is not something you can be doing in a room. It is something you will do outside, where everybody will see you in the public. Going by what is going on in Ogun State now, what we are fighting against is the act of just electing people in the room. We want congresses where people will go outside to vote for whoever they like. That's what we are fighting for.
The Congress held at Abeokuta on the 4th of August. There were delegates from all the 236 wards of the state. How could it have been handpicked in the room? The national headquarters conducted the Congress. And it started from the ward to the local government to the state. The normal approach is that at the ward level, you choose 3 delegates to go for the state Congress.
Okay, were they handpicked or were they not handpicked? Even though it was organized by the national body. But the State Congress Committee has ordered a rerun of the local government Congress. Would that make the difference? This is the update on that report.
The meeting was called at the instance of the elders of the group led by Mr. Bayo Dayo to intimate members on the latest developments within the party, one of which is the purported report of the State Congress Committee led by Ibrahim Bamali, which described the state congress as a nullity.
We had our congresses just like any other state. We had the world congresses, the local government congress, the state congress, without any problem. And it was done in the open.
The group is, however, pointing accusing fingers at some prominent Nigerians and some national officers of the party in the southwest as the personalities behind what they termed flagrant disrespect for the rule of law.
But what we can never accept is for people who are called so-called Abuja politicians. They believe in position, and the only way for them to have those positions is to impose. It is not going to be acceptable anymore.
Obasanjo has maintained that he doesn't belong to this level of politics. He has more than enough to do internationally, not even nationally, internationally, not to coming to local and state. Oyinlola, who is the secretary, Oni, who is the zonal chairman, they've been governors before. They are no chicken brains. You can't just push them anyhow.
With this latest face-off between the two groups, only a genuine reconciliation, devoid of personal and group interests, can put an end to the seemingly unending crisis in the state PDP.
Well, I have two gentlemen here, one from the Odujirin camp or faction and the Bayo camp. The two of them would hopefully tell us why it seems impossible for them to sheath their swords and let's move, as they will say, move the state forward. But that will be when we return from our break. Don't go away. Welcome back. Well, I have two gentlemen in the house, and let's see how far we can go tearing or trying to dissect the situation in Ogun State and finding the way forward. Mr. Dakwa Adeyemi, your opening statement, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. You see, I've watched the promos that you have shown, and I want to tell you sincerely, this other faction you call the Kachamu group or whatever are not sincere at all. I can tell you there had been no Congress in Ogun State until the one held 4th August. You want to be a party member, the constitution of the party in section 2 talks about supremacy of the party. If you want to be a loyal party member, you must abide by the constitution of the party. I am aware, and I have it here, that the National Secretariat suspended the congresses that brought in this Bayo group. And if as at that period, they have accepted the decision of the National Working Committee to suspend the Congress, I am sure we will not be where we are today. So we were looking, and in fact, the National even tried everything possible to bring in reconciliation. They set up a reconciliation committee where 3 members of this group were represented. The other group had 4 members, and the so-called OGD group had 1 member. Kachamu nominated 3 members to this committee. The day they were going to inaugurate, you came with an injunction. I mean, what are we talking about? And that was the first step that the party took in December to bring in reconciliation. And not in our state alone, in Lagos State, in Ekiti State. But it's only in this state that they brought in the court injunction to stop.
Okay. Thank you very much. Mr. Uliede.
Well, I've been counsel to PDP Ogun State for many years now. Even Mr. DME was my client too, indirectly, because he was a member of the party when I represented them in 2010 and 2011. And I think the problems of PDP in Ogun State stem from lack of internal democracy. I think there are some people in the party who think they should dictate what happens. And when that doesn't happen, they immediately try to break everything to pieces. You know, I think you need to look back further. And you'll see that in 2009, there were already divisions within the party. And it took the intervention of the judiciary to make any sense out of PDP for the 2011 elections. Because if the judiciary had not intervened, perhaps PDP would not have participated at all in the 2011 elections in Ogun State. But when the matter came before the courts decided that the appropriate organ of the party to produce the candidates of the party in 2011 was the Dayoshuremi executive.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. But now we're back to that point where you both have to ask your questions. There was a statement he made that I thought you were going to react to. He said there was no Congress until August 4, and that your group or your team, your camp, is going contrary to the directive of the national body.
Well, the point is that there's no camp. I'm not aware of any camp in Ogun State. As I said to you, I've been counsel to PDP in Ogun State. I'm still counsel to them. I'm here today. I was counsel to PDP in Ogun State. Now, I know that there are some members of the party who are trying to steal a march on other members who have the legal backing to represent the party in the state. Now, that's why I say you need to look back. Now, Dayoshuremi has the authentic backing to be the executive of the party, the chairman of the party, until there was a Congress. Now, if what he's saying is true and there was no Congress, then Dayoshuremi would be the chairman of the party up till the 4th of July or 4th of August. Now, you will see that they don't even recognize Dayoshuremi as having been their predecessor in office. So that should show you that they're coming out of nowhere. They're coming out of the woodworks. Because for them to be valid, to be a valid successor, they must have had a valid predecessor. And according to the legal position today is that the legal predecessor of any executive in Ogun State for PDP is Dayoshuremi-led executive. Now, that Dayoshuremi-led executive conducted the congresses they say they don't recognize. Now, the one that they claim the national executive conducted, the national executive deny that they conducted. Rather, the national executive are pushing the blame to 3 of their members who claim that they are caretaker committee of the party in the state and that they conducted the Congress for the party. So it's really a total mess. But the only way you can make sense out of it is to look at what is the legal position today. Can there be, can their own congresses actually be said to be valid congresses when there was a court order restraining them from conducting it? Now, if they conducted the congresses in breach of court orders, would anybody, forget whether you are a PDP member or not, as a Nigerian, would you say that that is a valid Congress? I think that's a question that he needs to look at.
Question for you.
Thank you very much. See, he said he's the legal advisor or the counsel to PDP in Ogun State. From what he's saying now, you will agree that he's maybe representing that other group and not the PDP in Ogun State today. Now, let me say it from the onset. Unfortunately, he's a counsel, he's a legal man. He will talk all these legal terminologies. I'm a practical politician, and I want to prove to you that in Ogun State today, the Congress held on the 4th is the most authentic one. I'll give you the reason.
But was there a court injunction that you should not have that Congress?
You see, let me tell you, there's nothing like court injunction because there's an appeal asking for stay of execution, which I have here. To start with, if he's talking of all these court injunctions or whatever, the very first injunction that they were relying on after the Dayoshuremi whatever was the Achibong injunction in January. And there was an appeal on that one, giving a stay of execution on all the judgments and even the content. You see, you cannot imagine a situation where you have a court of appeal on a particular judgment. Then you now go to another court to go and ask for the same relief. You see, honestly, I've not seen this type of you see, we had the court of appeal injunction, ruling in Lagos. We now left for another court. In fact, unfortunately, the same Judge Achibong, who gave that order on which we got a court of appeal, an appeal judgment, went further again to give another order. You see, but I'm not even going on that side. Where I'm going is when the national decided to settle all these problems. We agreed our problems, before the election. I agree with him. We conducted 2011 elections as a result of judicial intervention. There is no doubt about that. This problem actually started after the general election. And you see, I am an insider, he knows. And I can say emphatically that the problem started from the so-called Kachamu man, who everybody says is a financier, is whatever. Somebody came to the party in 2009. Some of us had been in the party from 1998, 2001 and above. And don't forget, we contested the election twice and we won. Until all this money back came in.
The Kachamu man who's the financier is the one disrupting the party?
I mean, that is
not it. Not Bayo Dayo.
No. You see, Bayo Dayo is let me put it, an appendage, a studio of with due respect, of Kachamu. Let me tell you what is happening. We have the national set up a reconciliation committee, of which Kachamu's group were represented. That was in December. It was advertised. Now, the day they were to do the inauguration, you came up with an injunction. The party, being a law-abiding party, agreed to suspend everything about that reconciliation committee. Then, that was in December. Now, in March, the former National Working Committee called us to Abuja on the 8th of March. And they spoke to us and said, look, gentlemen, go home and settle your problems. The National Vice Chairman then, Alhaji Oladipo, was there. But as they addressed us, he said, go home and sort out these problems and come back. Now, we were to meet at the Southwest on the 10th, which was a Saturday. That was the day they said they were holding a Congress. And as at that period, a press statement came out. This is a press statement which said the NWC wishes to reiterate that congresses at all levels in Ogun State have been suspended until all issues relating to disputes in the state are resolved. Any such congresses purportedly conducted is null and void. Let me tell you one thing. If Dayo Soremi accepted or agreed with this circular and stays on until when the national says go and conduct, and the national says another person should conduct, that's a different case. National says suspend, you refuse to suspend. You said, in fact, at the meeting we had in Ibadan, he was not there. At the meeting we had in Ibadan, Kachamu was there, and the national vice chairman said, okay, we want a solution, go and sort out this
so
thing.
It looks like your team is the one trying to scatter the orders of the National Working Committee.
No, I think one of the problems they have in Ogun State is, in Ogun State PDP is personalities. They don't believe in institutions. That is the reason why a group of people will decide that they want to confront an institution like the judiciary. If all this banding of names is unnecessary, when you know this is right and this is wrong. Now, they realize that everything they've been doing is against the law. In fact, in some cases, some of the things they've done are actually criminal. And there are still pending proceedings against some of them. You remember that some of them have been sent to prison already. There are 3 of them right now who are refugees, who are, we don't know where they are, but they're fugitives from the law. The reason is because they keep on mentioning names of personalities, not realizing that politics really, there's an extent to which it is about personality. There's a need, when you talk about democracy, for respect for institutions. Now, they have no respect at all for institutions. If you go to their meeting, you'll tell